Hey kids, well, this video is going to go over Fusion Pro single component grout and how to install it. I hope to think how to install it properly. You're too long, didn't watch your video here. This is really the only instructions you're going to find on the internet here. Doesn't give you much to go through, but just some hints that I learned. One, moistening the towel. That is really important. Really, that's for step 3. You are just moistening it to get the excess grout off. One thing I learned, too much water and this grout gets super soupy. So be very careful. You really got to be on the light side. And I found it was just easier to mold at the end of the day with less water than it was with more water. It did take a little more to clean up, but I found that the overall finish was much better. After you get done putting your grout on, and you really got to layer this stuff on, kids, as much as I would like to say you could only do the grout lines there, at least with my tiles, you really had to go over it all. And I'm sure most of the tiles you'll be doing will probably be very similar. It was super helpful to have a second sponge, and the second sponge really just took off all the excess heavy grout. Mine looked more like this picture up here, as you will see. After that, instead of using a microfiber towel, I used a lot of paper towels. It was just easier. Paper towels are cheap. I like a clean surface. One of the biggest complaints I read online was a hazing or misting of the tile if it wasn't properly wiped off. So I wanted to avoid that. And how I got around that was just using a load of paper towels, about 2 rolls in all for both sides of my kitchen backsplash. Their important notes really aren't too many important notes here, kids. Really, it's just saying be well ventilated, and that should be any surface that you do. Don't have a high moisture rate. Again, like I said, this stuff gets soupy if it gets soggy, so be careful with that. And then use clean water. I did this pretty much after every little section I did. I went and cleaned my water and then again remove the residual. I did this in 2 waves. One, I went through and did it as I was grouting, and then as you'll see at the end of the video, my wife came back and helped. So that's the too long didn't watch. Let's go ahead and jump into the video and see exactly how it was done. As you can see, this is actually a pretty easy project. This is the only tools here that I needed. This is the Fusion Pro single component grout. I'm using Arctic White. It's just a Lowe's bucket, a whole bunch of paper towels, and a little grout trowel with a rubber end on the bottom. And that's it. And you can do this project. The video is sped up just a little. I'm not this quick of a worker, I wish. Just lightly wetting the area. And then simply just going to go ahead and put the compound down. Now, some helpful things that I found useful here. I did put some painter's tape and a plastic garbage bag down here to keep off of my brand new countertop there. Don't want to get that messed up. As you can see, this stuff dries pretty quick. As soon as you apply water to it, it gets pretty runny. And really all I'm doing is just taking a sponge, wiping the excess off, and I'm going in both directions. And then the paper towel comes in here, and I'm just wiping off the excess. This is a little corner of piece here, so I'm really trying to tie it into my molding. I'm wiping it down every once in a while. Oops, look, a little piece flew into the camera there. Don't worry, kids. I think it'll fall off here in a minute. But all I'm doing is just going over with a paper towel and going through the grout joints, just molding them, and that's it. And then every once in a while, I go over the top pieces and I just make sure I wipe off any excess that is hanging on there. Again, I'm spending a lot of time on these little corner parts here. As you can see, they're coming out pretty good as I go down. I am not grouting underneath. I want to keep that as a cock joint because 2 surfaces will move. So I want to make sure that they have a flexible seal there. That's what it pretty much looks like for the grout part. Here's just a second little part here we're going to go through just to show you. Again, you can notice how this stuff flings and flies everywhere. Be careful. It is super messy, kids. And this is about as much as you can do at any one time. Any much more than this, and really, it starts to dry out. And you can see it's already starting to get hard to get off the axis there. Those first couple ones, which I did real quick, look how quick those came off. And now the bottom ones, well, that's almost dry. So I've pretty much given up on that, and I will just go to a wet sponge to get it off. Again, the wet sponge, I'm just using that to take all of the excess off. Normal grout, you could probably use your grouting trowel to get most of that off. This stuff, it's tricky. Again, as you can see, I'm just going with the grout lines up and down, left and right, going through. You'll notice I have some gaps here. I'll start filling those in, hopefully, when I realize what's going on, because you got to double check your work constantly with this stuff. And you can see where it's already starting to get a little mirrory. So again, I'm wiping it off constantly. You do not want to get close to this stuff hazing over. Once it does dry, it's near impossible to get off. It's pretty much an adhesive glue. So again, keep wiping all that surface. This in real time is about 15 minutes. So this is sped up to about 300% right now. So this represents about 15 minutes. Here at the end, once I get it all grouted, you'll see this is after I did the entire countertop. I came back, and even though I spent all that time wiping down, you still have a ton more to do. And this is really where the time-consuming part's at. You got to spend your time wiping it down, because right now, even though it's hard, you can still get it off with water. You could chip it off. Once it dries, though, well, that job's going to become a lot harder. This is my wife here helping me pick off all the little pieces. Really, after your first pass, you're coming back for your finishing pass right here, and you're going through to double check it. Again, no grout between the counter and the tiles. You want a flexible surface. That's really it. I would double check it again with a wet paper cloth and wipe off that towel. Make sure you don't have any hazing. Again, it's an adhesive, so once it dries, it's not going to wipe off as easily as it is right now. According to the manufacturer, this doesn't need any type of sealer. Well, that means you're done with the project. Well, that's it. Congratulations. Overall, not bad. I do think I spent a little more time doing this than the traditional grouting way. That was because this was my first time using this type of grout. But overall, I'd probably use it again. It turned out pretty well here, and I am definitely very happy with the outcome. Hopefully this video was a help to you. As always, if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. Good luck with your project, kids. I'll see you in the next video.